Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. You're watching the VSO Gun Channel. Happy Sunday, everyone. I've got about an hour and a half to get this one recorded and edited before I have to leave for church, so you'll probably see this one afterwards, sometime this afternoon. We're talking about the Sig Sauer situation. We have some developments, and I would have covered this one yesterday, but we were out fishing. We had booked a charter back in January for steelhead. And while we didn't catch any steelhead, we did limit out on walleye. And it was a lot of fun because we kind of already do this sort of thing, and you fish for them pretty much the exact same way. Of course, with anything that you do recreationally, if you go out with professionals, you're going to pick up a few things, and we absolutely did. Good outfit, and will do again. That said, we have an arrest in the Sig Sauer situation, and I've just seen this reported a couple different ways that I just don't really agree with. I plan to do a live stream this week where you and I can just kind of discuss it. I'm waiting for some more concrete details to come out about the actual situation. Right now, we just have a report of an arrest, and I wanted to talk about what that actually means because there's a lot of folks that are just jumping to conclusions on this one, and I think it's important that we remain objective. Even though I have my biases against the 320 itself because I just think that it's a dumb handgun, I think that it's important that we remain objective when it comes to this situation because this is almost certainly more complex of a situation than a single headline. Because we've been talking about this for years now, and if it was simple, then Sig probably would have addressed it already. Today's video is brought to you by Medical Gear Outfitters. If you do not have a legit trauma kit in your house and in each of the vehicles that you drive, then you are dead wrong. This is not one of those things that you shop for and wait on. That thing doesn't do you any good in your cart. If it's not in a 50-foot circle of you when you need it, you got a real problem. And it's going to be a permanent problem if you don't get to it right quick in a hurry. So I got a discount code for you over at Medical Gear Outfitters to hopefully precipitate you getting on the ball here. And real quick side note, one of their products I really like is the iRock. It is still available. It's just not available in the Blaze Orange. Anyway, Medical Gear Outfitters, go get it. We're going to task and purpose on this one, and I'll have the article listed in all the relevant places for you to run down if you want to see the full article. The statement is, out of an abundance of caution, based on initial reporting, Air Force authorities ordered various safety precautions involving the M18 after the tragic event. You guys saw the decree from the Air Force say, hey, stop. Standard operating procedure. I think that if you have a potential weapon issue that you think might be impacting the entirety of the population, even if it is a small percentage, then you would absolutely take a precautionary measure and be like, hey, we have to evaluate these, right? It continues. Since then, the investigation has progressed and an individual has now been arrested on suspicion of making a false statement, obstruction of justice, and involuntary manslaughter. All right. There are three things there. And I've seen this, again, reported by some folks with a rather large following that are just like, this changes everything. Again, personally speaking, from the very get-go, when I reported on this specific incident with the Air Force, I said that this is probably a mixed bag. There's probably a coalition of factors that came together to make this one happen. But let's take those one thing at a time. Making a false official statement. What that means is the MPs walk in, they're like, all right, what happened? In that statement, apparently and allegedly, there were some inaccuracies in that statement. Second thing, obstruction of justice. Now, the making of the false statement could rise to the level of obstruction of justice, but there's something in there that makes the military feel as though they were trying to change the conclusion of the investigation. Think kind of like what's going on at the Department of Justice right now with all the probes. what those folks did, the individual acts are definitely illegal in their own right, but they can rise to the level of sedition. Probably not treason, but most certainly sedition. Court will decide. Let's continue. And then involuntary manslaughter. So somebody's culpable for somebody dying, but they didn't do it like walk in and shoot somebody, right? It was some kind of likely negligent handling. If we are objective about this for a moment, that covers just about every narrative out there except for something like takes holster off, discharges, hits wall, hits wall, hits wall, hits floor, and then sustains life-threatening injury on third party in the room. It was initially reported that Dude Bro took his own pistol off and set it on the counter and it discharged and killed him. I never bought that one because you just don't handle pistols that way. Nobody handles pistols that way. Even somebody who's never picked up a gun does not set a gun down on the counter by pointing it at themselves, whether it's in a holster or not. That never made any sense to me. So almost certainly there is a violation of the 4 rules of firearm safety in at least one, if not more, capacities. To me, that is a foregone conclusion. It doesn't matter if it's in the holster or not. Just because my gun is kept in a holster, when I come home for the day, I don't walk in and point my holstered pistol at my wife and my dog. Right? Right? I see stuffing on the floor. Why do we have stuffing on the floor? What is this? Why are you like this? Why do you do this? This happened at one of the most secure facilities in the country. Like, the bulk of our nuclear weapons are kept there. There are cameras everywhere. And this allegedly happened at some kind of security station. So even if the hallway next to it didn't have a camera pointed at it, which it probably did, there's almost certainly a camera pointed at the security station. I put out a poll last night, and you all agree. We need to see the video. The military needs to release the video, and if it vindicates Sig, then it vindicates Sig. If it shows negligent handling, then it shows negligent handling. They don't have to be mutually exclusive. Just because there was negligent handling does not necessarily mean that the SIG 320 doesn't have some kind of problem. And vice versa, just because the SIG 320 has potentially a problem doesn't mean that there wasn't negligent handling. Both can be true at the same time. So, in my opinion, the jury is still out on this specific incident as to what actually went down. I think it's very likely that it's a little bit of both. And that's what I've been saying this entire time, that it is, again, a coalition of factors that come together that cause some of these incidents. That doesn't necessarily mean that the underlying premise isn't there. It's just that not every single one of these things does that thing, verifiably from personal application of professional experience. I want to know what you guys think about this in the comment section down below. I know that we had the poll, and I think that it speaks for itself, but do you guys think that the military is going to release that video? And what does it mean if they don't?